Welcome back to the Life's Next Lesson Plan podcast. In episode 11, we laid the foundation for launching a side hustle, and the enthusiastic feedback has prompted me to take it a step further, offering a training session designed to transform your side hustle idea into a thriving enterprise, paving your way to becoming your own boss. In this episode, we'll delve into advanced strategies to scale your venture using social media. We'll explore how to craft compelling content that resonates with your target audience, select the most effective platforms for your niche, and harness analytics to refine your approach. By implementing these tactics, you'll be equipped to expand your reach, boost engagement, and drive significant growth in your business. Whether you're ready to scale now or plan to revisit this episode in the future when you're ready, these insights will empower you to leverage platforms like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube to elevate your venture. So let's get started. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Life's Next Lesson Plan. I'm Rachel, and I started this podcast during my 29th and last year as a high school teacher. The goal of my work with Life's Next Lesson Plan, as well as my Live and Learn Patreon, is to create a connection where we are all teachers. We all have lessons and stories to share that can help others. I'm so fortunate to be able to extend the four walls of my previous classroom to an unlimited audience, where we can all learn from each other. And my guests are some of the most inspirational people with the best stories and lessons I know, which is why I want to share them with you. Their words are something everyone should hear. It is my hope that you are able to take away something from each episode to apply to your own life, whether that be a career search, path to a more fulfilling life, or new ideas on current topics. Just to revisit briefly what we talked about in episode 11, we were starting at the basic foundational level with just what could I do as a side hustle, basically trying to think about different things people come to you for, what your expertise is, what value you can add to other people's lives. And then once you sort of had an idea there, how to start with the basics of building a brand. Next, we're going to pick up here in this episode on how to identify your audience and your brand voice, and defining who your ideal customers are, what messages you might want to communicate, how you could tailor your content, your tone, your visual style to resonate with who you think your target audience is. Knowing this in advance and kind of writing that out could help you create a more consistent brand voice across all your platforms. So when we talk about platforms, we're going to talk in this episode about social media. Again, I can only go based on my own experience here. So there's definitely a lot of other places that you could look for additional information. I'm just going to use what has worked for me. Expanding your side hustle and getting more eyes on your content. If that is a goal that you have, then you would want to look into using social media. So the biggest thing there is, again, like I said in the previous episode, is to start small and with what you're comfortable with. So not every social media platform will be a perfect fit, perhaps, for what your side hustle is. So let me just kind of go over the different audiences on the different platforms. Instagram and Pinterest, for example, are ideal for visually driven businesses like art, fashion, or food. So these platforms use high quality images with engaging stories and video reels to showcase your work. You can kind of think about also the people and what age demographics are on these platforms. Now it is all the way from 12 years old up to, I would say, unlimited users. Maybe compared to Facebook, Instagram might have a little bit younger demographic, but I feel like now a lot more people are on Instagram. And speaking of Facebook, that in the past has been a great place for building community and engaging with your customers. You can have private groups, you can host events. If you wanted to, you can have targeted ads built in. I have not done the last part, but I've definitely used the private groups as well as public groups. It can be a really great way to gather people. I know a lot of podcasts or different, like I'm in a hiking group, I'm in a wellness group. You can kind of tailor that to different demographics. And then if you host events, you can have those be public or private as well through Facebook. LinkedIn is great for B2B services, business to business, or professional consulting. So you can publish articles here. You can share different sort of innovation related to your niche. You can also network with industry professionals. It's kind of fun to just see who else is out there, what their portfolios or their websites look like, just to get ideas as well. Formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. I think that's been a difficult name change for a lot of people, is useful, of course, still for those quick updates, industry news, and connecting with people in related fields. Loved Twitter back in the day for a lot of collegial chatting and networking. And also you can use it to, live tweet events that are going on and just to follow certain hashtags or trending topics. I know I jumped on it after the Super Bowl halftime show because I knew there was going to be a lot of dialogue about that. And I like to go on X after major world events like that. And then lastly, I'm not familiar with, or I'm familiar with it, but I'm not on TikTok. I know a lot of influencers make their living through TikTok. This is a platform for short, engaging videos that can quickly build brand awareness, especially if your side hustle appeals to a younger demographic. And then lastly, YouTube. It is amazing what you can find on YouTube. This can be a game changer for expanding your side hustle. Again, I think I mentioned this in episode 11. I had zero plans to start a YouTube. But when I shared my goals with my sister, she basically was like, you have to do it. So again, you can do it at your own comfort zone. There are a lot of ways to have a faceless YouTube channel. Again, tailor things to your comfort level. So first, you kind of set up a dedicated channel. This is branded like we talked about in the first episode. You want to have kind of all your platforms branded the same way with the same art and color and title. And you want this to reflect your side hustle's personality. So using your professional looking logo and a banner, you can write some compelling, content for your channel description, explaining what you offer on this platform. Next, you want to think about the type of engaging content you want to put on YouTube. So you can go live on YouTube. You can have long form content. For me, that would be my podcasts. Definitely, they just upload right from my RSS feed to my YouTube each time an episode is published. I did start to create some long form kind of lesson videos, tried and true things that I've used in the classroom that I think would help others. I have so many ideas for long form content on YouTube and just not enough time right now to create. I've been mostly focusing, besides the podcasts, on YouTube with YouTube Shorts because I've been counting down my last 100 days in the classroom by having these are 60-second or less videos that post. That's why they're called shorts. There is kind of a recipe for a short. I don't always follow it because, again, time, working a full-time job and creating content is difficult. So you want to just think about ways you can add value to your audience of your niche. These could be tutorials, People love behind the scenes looks. These could be product demonstrations, success stories, or even what not to do, or I did this and it failed. Don't be like me. The biggest thing here, and you can use ChatGPT or other AI for the help writing your descriptions and SEO tags and hashtags. The biggest thing is that you want to have a hook, but you can definitely ask ChatGPT, tell them, what is in your short or an idea you have for a short, and it will literally create an entire script with a forward hook for you. There, you want to just make sure that you have really clear visuals and clear audio to keep the viewers engaged for the 60 seconds. When we're talking about SEO or search engine optimization, this is not an area that I had ever been trained in, so I'm learning a lot about this as I go. YouTube is the second largest search engine. I had to wrap my head around that too. I believe it. So optimizing your video titles, descriptions, and tags is essential. Using relevant keywords that target your audience, that your audience might search for is huge. You can also look at what topics have been trending on YouTube. There's a great tab when you're in YouTube in your creator dashboard. On the upper left, there is a tab called Inspiration. It's amazing. You can basically ask it for ideas of what to create related to your niche. It will even help you writing the scripts and descriptions and help you with your discoverability on YouTube. With anything, any platform that you try, consistency is key. So if you're starting to attract an audience and you want them to come back, and you become inconsistent, so you disappear for a week or a month, they're going to forget about you. So develop a schedule. Again, start small. This is really hard. I realize I'm having a hard time with it myself. But the more regular your uploads are, the more quickly you will build a loyal audience and signal to YouTube's algorithm that your channel is active and worth recommending, because YouTube will decide what it pushes out and recommends to its users. Learning that as well. You want to engage with your audience, so you want to encourage viewers at the end of your content to like and comment and subscribe. You want to give them some call to action to do those things, to respond in the comments. You can ask them for feedback or suggestions for future content. Engagement on your posts boosts your video's visibility and helps build a community around your brand. And then also you can cross-promote your content. This is what I have been trying very hard to do, is using your other social media platforms to drive traffic to your YouTube. So I've been sharing my YouTube link on my Instagram mostly, a little bit on Twitter, maybe a little on LinkedIn. You can embed videos onto your website or your blog or your other social media platforms and send them. So for my 100 days left of teaching videos, I might tease out the first 4 to 7 seconds on one platform, and that usually has the hook in it. And then what you do is put, full video link here. And then hopefully if they're interested from the hook, they will continue on to YouTube to watch the rest of the video. So use all of these different platforms together. I usually have a plan for each podcast or for each day that I'm counting down. What is my topic going to be? What are some of the hashtags going to be? What is my messaging going to be? And then I switch it up based on the platform and kind of batch it out and do it all at one time. I have gotten into analytics a little bit to analyze the performance of my posts. YouTube will do this automatically for you. There's an analytics button right on there where you can see how many people are viewing your content, how many are new users, how long they're staying on your channel. I know for my RSS feed for my podcast, I can see how many people are downloading the episodes, which episodes are more popular, what time they're listening to or downloading the episodes. And this isn't if you're just starting out, this maybe is not a concern. But maybe when you get into things and get more comfortable and you're like, okay, what else could I do to optimize all this content that I'm creating? Then maybe you want to monitor the metrics like the watch time, audience retention, click-through rates. But in the beginning, that might just be really overwhelming. So you can always come back to this and do that later. By integrating YouTube and these other social media platforms, you'll boost your online visibility and then hopefully build a deeper connection with your audience. This can take time, but if you put in that time, it can significantly help you expand your reach and drive growth for your side hustle. Okay, so now we're on social media. We have chosen the platforms that we are going to focus on to start. You can always add to this and expand, but now you need to think about what you want to post, your engaging content, your content strategy. You want to have a little bit of a mix between educational posts, some behind the scenes, kind of personal content, maybe some customer testimonials if that fits your niche, some interactive content like polls or Q&As. But again, with everything, consistency is key. So it's best to start small and just know what you can do regularly using features like stories, live streams, reels, and keeping your audience engaged. Again, easier said than done, especially if this is just something that you are doing on the side. But if it's important to you creating that consistent calendar, I do actually have a calendar that I keep. Otherwise, it swirls around in my brain and takes over all my thoughts. So if you can maybe use a calendar or create a calendar for yourself with dates and what you're going to try to do on those dates, it really helps. I sometimes too, once I finish recording a podcast and I've titled it and I've done my intro and my outro and my show notes, I will just, while it's fresh in my mind, create some content at that point. So, it's kind of 50-50 for me right now, depending on time, that sometimes it's on the fly. I have to get this up today. I'm going to do it right now. I don't have anything prepared in advance. Or sometimes, hey, I have some extra time after doing this. I'm just going to batch a bunch of posts and do a bunch of content. My hair is washed today. I'm going to film some stuff. So it's up to you. There's no right or wrong for that, but the biggest thing is to just try to have a consistent presence. A big thing too is just the authentic nature of your account. So you want to talk about your journey and your side hustle, why you started it, why it's important to you, what kind of value you think you can provide, challenges that you've overcome. Oftentimes something is important to us because it fills a need that we had, or again, you chose this because people were coming to you consistently and asking about it. So it definitely is fulfilling answers to those questions that you're constantly getting. So people connect with real stories. Don't be afraid to show your behind the scenes and your thought process. I think I often overlook this sometimes. I think either, people don't want to hear this story or my thinking or me talking about myself. And then those are always the videos that get the most feedback. So I have to take my own advice there as well. And reach out to people who give you great feedback. I know the people who have sent me messages and said, I've been listening to your podcast, every week as soon as it comes out, and I'm really enjoying it. And I say, thank you so much. Would you mind giving me a rate and review? Or depending on your niche, if you have customer testimonials or success stories that they don't mind sharing any, photos or reviews or quotes with their permission. It's really nice for others to hear how your hustle is helping other people's lives. So don't forget about kind of the personal side. I know this was a mistake of mine in the classroom that I often made, was like business, business, business all the time. So much to do. And forgetting to slow down and just be a human. Sometimes I need that reminder myself. So engaging with your community comes from, organically, those connections and behind the scenes and those personal stories. And people are going to feel more likely to engage with you if you are engaging with them. So if they are leaving you comments or messages or reviews, definitely respond. Participate in those conversations. Comment even on if you notice people following you or liking your posts, reach out to them. This builds relationships. I always ask if a message on the podcast or a post really resonates with you and it makes you think of someone. I do this all the time. In fact, I have to apologize sometimes because I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sending you another podcast, or I'm sending this to you again, but it's because I love you, because I listened to this and I think it's a really important message for you. I was thinking of you, right? So I think if you can do that for others, and they will do it for you, and you're just trying to give other people important information that can help their lives. But overall here, just be responsive. Make sure that, if you are getting messages and feedback, that you respond promptly. There are always going to be trolls, and then you just bless and release. Well, I should say block, bless, and release. And hopefully those are few and far between. That is a big reason I did not want to expand to YouTube, because you just don't know. I feel like you can kind of see on Instagram and Facebook and those other platforms who is following you and looking at your stuff, and it's just a little more general with YouTube. It just makes me a little bit more uncomfortable. But if I want to get more eyes and ears on my podcast, that was a risk I was willing to take. I can always change my mind. You can always change your mind. Feel it out. You don't know until you take the leap, right? If I haven't said that enough, you just don't know. You have to start, feel it out, and then make your decision from there. So also ask your audience if they're willing to share links that, to things that work for them, share photos, reshare their content. They're going to reshare yours. And you kind of have this, as they're calling it now, parasocial relationships. But that's the way of our world now, fortunately or unfortunately, is we can meet people we would never meet face to face. But also a lot of times we're just interacting through a screen. So we're going to try to focus on the positive with that and how we can use it to build value in other people's lives and how it can enrich our lives by giving us a purpose through this extra venture. So kind of along that same line, this is a big part of what I've been doing with the podcast, is to collaborate and network. So think about who you can partner with and what brands align with your message. So if I want to monetize a podcast, I need to post consistently, have good content, and get my listens and downloads up. I can also reach out and have sponsorships and ads. That is not easy to ask people to do that. So if you want to monetize, these are stepping out of your comfort zone opportunities to partner with other businesses or influencers or customers who align with your niche. These collaborations can help you reach new audiences and give you credibility. Your guest posts, shout outs, or maybe you do a joint live session. I'm trying my first live Q&A with a guest who I just had on the podcast. I'm actually really excited about it because it's heart and hormone health for women. So it's a topic that's really near and dear to my own heart. I'm going to stop here for a second to take a little break. Again, that's a lot of information, and we'll be back after this short break. To those of you who have followed me for a while, you know that I value mental and physical wellness. Personally, I've worked with a few different coaches over the years and even been one myself. If you are looking for education and support in your own wellness journey, I would love to invite you to the wellness community I am currently in that keeps me accountable daily with my nutrition and movement. If you are a Facebook user, you can search for our free group called Team MG. This group is led by my coach, Megan Grimaud, who is a certified trainer and nutrition coach. She offers lots of education and support for your wellness journey. If you want to get to know Coach Megan more, you can follow her on Instagram at all lowercase Megan, MEGAN _Grimaud, GRIMORD, or even listen to her on episode 10 of the podcast. She has also created a discount code for my listeners. Just go to her website, www.team-mg.com, and enter code LessonPlan10 to get $10 off any of her premium coaching packages for the first month. Coach Megan is a busy mom like me who works full-time, so I appreciate her practicality mixed with some tough love to keep me going. I'd like to invite you, since you're here with me on the Life's Next Lesson Plan podcast, is to check out our series on my Live and Learn Patreon. In February, we have an exciting collection of self-love going on right now, with each week focusing on different aspects of self-love with practical tools and strategies to incorporate into your everyday life. We are also going to be having a culminating book talk on March 1st with the book called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima, which was recommended by Anna Strelo in her episode. And then in March, I'm so excited to have a heart and hormone health series with an upcoming guest that you are about to hear from in episode 16. She will actually be joining me at the end of the month for a Q&A about all things heart and hormone health related, which is really exciting. So hope you'll listen to her on episode 16. Her own health journey will shock and awe you, I will just say. And I'm really excited to have her over on the Patreon. So with Patreon, if you're not sure how it works, you can do it a couple different ways. I do have some subscribers who are just monthly subscribers. They get everything on Patreon for $5 a month, which is a great deal. They're allowed to listen to all the episodes, participate in all the activities, or if you're not ready for a monthly subscription, you can just buy collections. I usually offer them at half price. So our February collection, which is 4 events, which would be $5 each typically, is just going to be $10 instead of $20. And then I'll do a $5 collection for the heart and hormone health. I know in January we had the Sunday Scaries series, and I put that together as a collection for $5 for you as well. So I hope you'll join us if you would like extra content over on our Live and Learn Patreon. Before we come back from our break, I'm just going to answer one Ask the Teacher Anything question, because I know people enjoy these. It's a little bit of a way to break up the long episode. So one question I got, which I liked a lot, which is, what advice would you give to other teachers contemplating a career change? And this is part of why I like to have former teachers on the podcast, because I'm looking for their advice. And also I've probably already followed their advice when making my decision. But I think a couple of things here is, one, if you feel that you need a change, just don't drag it out for years and years and years until you're miserable. I think everybody I talk to says, I think I waited a little bit too long. And this is unfortunately what happens with, I can only speak from teaching because that's the only full-time career I've had, but there's such a push, and it's completely financial, and I get it. You have to stay till a certain age because at 55, you get your pension. But then if you stay longer, there are different, benefits and money that are involved in that. And if you can push it out even longer, and that's great. Okay. But quality of life does not equate to money. And you can always make money. Again, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I know this is very controversial because a lot of people have things at stake. They can't just make these kinds of decisions. And I do too. But I'm firmly believing in that something will work out. I just always get a very strong feeling when I make big decisions, and I can't turn back once I make the decision. I don't take it lightly. I've been thinking about it for years. So first thing I would say is, just when you get the feeling, start putting the plan into motion. What would I need to do? What's my plan A, my plan B, my plan C? And then make it happen. And then the second thing with that, and again, this is what you hear from the retirees on this podcast, is how will you bridge that transition? Right? And that's not that I need to fill up all my days with all these things. I mean, if anything, if you listen to Anne in episode 14, she's going to tell you quite the opposite. Breathe. You don't have to do anything. You having a long career is enough. And again, there's financial implications to this, I realize, but we're a hustle culture. We're a comparison culture. We're a make as much money as you can culture. And if you look at people at the end of their lives, none of them are saying, I wish I had more money. I wish I had worked more. And twice now in the last week, I have heard people close to me in my life say, we are under 20 years away from 70. And wow, not that 70 is the end of your life, because it's not, but when you think about how your life could be different at that age and how fast 20 years goes, I mean, I can't believe I've been teaching for 29 years. Where did the time go? So, really think about what you will need when you go through that transition. And if it's, I've watched the male retirees meet up once a week to golf together, female retirees having a book club together. If it means I'm going to go visit my child, who no longer lives at home once a week, I'm going to need to have a part-time job for fun, or I'm going to start painting, which I put to the wayside. Just think about it. And this can change, but you've heard a lot of the advice from other people who have had major identity changes in their lives. And just picture what you want that next chapter of your life to look like. And then try to honor that as much as possible. We are back from our break, and we are ready to start thinking about how to scale our side hustle now based on the posting that we're going to be doing, the increased eyeballs on our content, hopefully. And when our consistent posting starts to gain traction, we can consider about growing and maybe think about using automation. So scheduling apps or social media planners. And then just if you do start to monetize or think about monetizing, this is hard without knowing exactly what your side hustle is. Each side hustle has a different way to monetize. But if you do start to recoup some of the expenses, if you did have expenses to setting up your side hustle, consider reinvesting those profits into tools or marketing to grow your side hustle further. So if we want to talk about reinvesting your profits, you want to think about purchasing better equipment, maybe different software, hiring a freelancer to help you with tasks to free up your time. I know different entrepreneurs that I've listened to, this is where they maybe hire someone on as an assistant or even just getting more childcare so that they can create content. One of my favorite influencers / podcasters, she has a lot of titles, but she talks about how sometimes rather than driving her own vehicle to get somewhere, she will take an Uber because her time is worth so much money and she can actually create content on her phone when she's not driving. And so that is a better use of her time and money. I just think that that's funny to me. So I love that example. But if you're creating content, you can upgrade your camera or your editing software. I know that was a huge game changer for me. I started with the free version of Podcastle AI for my editing software, and I was able to ditch even using a microphone after upgrading to the better editing software. Not that it, mattered because the microphone wasn't that expensive or cumbersome, but I can literally, I'm thinking about when I'm in my camper, bringing the least amount of equipment as possible. That's just really helpful. Also, my glamour light, as I like to call it, my little Alex Earl light, $14. I just this week purchased something which I should have had this whole time that I was commuting and just didn't. It was $9.99. Is a place to prop up my phone in my car. So that I can kind of do some commute conversations. These are small investments, but just sort of to maximize your downtime or maximizing your time just so that you can do things more easily and efficiently. Also, you might want to just look at kind of how you're marketing, because marketing is crucial when it comes to scaling. So we're talking today about starting small with experimenting on different platforms and different audiences and looking at what works. You can also think about, when you look at your analytics, trying to understand your audience better. And if you do want to invest in some marketing, some targeted ads, you can think about that down the road. I think a big thing too is partnering up with someone. If you can promote their business and they can promote yours, that's often a great trade, especially if you're starting small without a very big budget. And then as much as you can streamline, as things start to get bigger, looking at, I didn't want to do it, but got pushed out of the nest by my younger sister. My website has now templates for emails, for invoicing, for scheduling, for SEO. It actually is saving me time and putting a more professional look on my brand. I use Squarespace. There's a million other, I know Flowdesk, a lot of people use for their email, and they have those features in them as well. Organizational tools, I've used Asana. I use Notion in the classroom with my students. There's Trello, there's Monday.com. I mean, you can pretty much just search on the internet now and explain what kind of organizational tool you need, what kind of help you're looking for, and it will spit out suggestions for you. So if you're starting to gain momentum and things are going really well for you, your side hustle might eventually evolve into a more full-time gig. This is different for every niche, and it just depends on timing. It depends on your audience. It depends on your content. And the bigger you get, maybe the more you can outsource more of your routine tasks. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to is How I Built This. And I mean, they talk about major entrepreneurs on that show, like Sarah Blakely, and Kate Spade, these major brands, who started in their living room, small, and got shut down and failed. And, it's a struggle, but take it slow, ensure you have a financial cushion, gradually invest more over time. And the bigger it gets and the less you feel comfortable with what look to people who are expert in that area to help you. So scaling isn't just about working harder, it's about working smarter. And this is definitely something that I have been able to transfer from being a journalism teacher who was overseeing a yearbook, which is enough of a project in itself, and then a daily news website, and then a literary arts magazine production of that, along with all the different social media platforms. And that's just one class that I teach in a day. So it's a lot of different deadlines, a lot of different balls in the air and things to coordinate. And you definitely find systems to put in place. I mean, my 11th yearbook was the easiest yearbook because I had all the systems. I knew the schedule. I knew what was coming next. Every year we were finishing earlier and earlier because I could anticipate what's coming next. So that comes with time. And if you stick with it and you're patient and you're persistent, gradually things should hopefully go your way. Just continue seeking out people who are steps ahead of you and looking at what they are doing. As we wrap up for today, I'm just going to keep it simple with next steps or homework, action steps for you is, again, thinking about, like we did in the last episode, who our audience is, what our niche is, where we want to get our message out. Pick one platform and plan out a post a day. A post every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, however you want that to look. And then make yourself a little calendar. On Mondays, I'm going to do something motivational. On Wednesdays, I'm going to do something behind the scene. On Friday, I'm going to add value in some way. And if I have a bonus post on the weekend, maybe I can get some testimonials or do a Q&A or a poll or something interactive. So start small, pick one place. Again, you can do the content the night before, on the fly the day of, if you're comfortable doing that, or you can batch it. You can sit down in one half an hour of time and say, okay, these are my 3 posts for the week. I'm going to do them all right now. You can even schedule them so you don't have to worry about putting them up on those days, and away you go. And then in your next 30-minute batch of time that you have, you're going to do the same thing for the following week. And then if you get comfortable with that, you can always add to another platform, or you can add an extra post or 2 posts a day. But just starting consistently small. there's so much, obviously, that goes into this. And, I don't want to do a disservice to these topics, but I also know that we're limited on time here. And my experience is limited as well. But I'm hoping that there are some people listening who this can be helpful for. And, I've definitely taken my own advice. When I want to do something that I've never done before, I look to the people who've done it and who have done it well. I'm always here to help and ask questions at the level that I'm operating at, but I hope that this can be of service to you either today or down the road when you're ready. I'd love to hear your feedback on this episode and episode 11, which is where we started, and this topic of side hustles, whether you've had enough on the topic or you'd like me to expand on some of these ideas. We could also do a Q&A episode together where we gather to help each other as we create and build our side hustles. DM me on Instagram or Facebook, or drop a comment on our website at lifesnextlessonplan.com with any feedback and ideas. And be sure to share this episode with someone that you think might benefit from it. Remember, you can find free resources from our past episodes in our show notes or on our website at lifesnextlessonplan.com. We also have behind-the-scenes content on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as other interactive content for you. Keep submitting those Ask the Teacher Anything questions as well. I love getting those from you. Thanks for following, and we'll see you next time.